At one point, she says it was a sad day when Aquinas was chosen to be the somewhat official theologian of the Catholic Church rather than Duns Scotus, the Franciscan. So go Franciscans once again. Scotus opined that the process of moving from man's universal nature to becoming an individual human being is what he calls a contraction, a reduction in scope, as it were. The antonym of contraction being expansion. He referred to the individual as a modification or mode of man's universal nature. As to how this actually works, going from a universal essence to multiple individuals, only God knows. Footnote 6. It is my view that self is the cause of individuation, the cause of every individual becoming his own person. What Scotus calls a contraction, I call a reflex action, i.e., the soul being aware of its own existence. I am, I exist. I am myself and no other. Where man's universal nature is personless, as an individual, however, he is a person, his own self. Though Scotus may not have connected the universal becoming an individual with Paul's kenosis, yet this is one way, at least, to understand it. Understand God's universal human nature having to forfeit its eternal life in God to become an individual being in this world. Given the essence of man's human potential to be Christ, explains why God never creates any particular person. As Scotus affirms, God did not unite itself to any of man's accidental properties or individual characteristics, all those extraneous attributes not of the essence of human nature. All differentiation adds up to a person who, as we know, God never created in the first place. The reason these properties were never united to God is because they were solely intended for earthly life and would be of no use, couldn't even function, in eternal life. So while these accidental properties are useful for earthly existence, they are of no use as regards man's eternal life in God, a life not remotely akin to earthly existence. In summary, the real mystery of Christ is that Christ is not one individual being, but God's oneness with man's universal or common human nature. The reason this is difficult to grasp is because of the difference between man's human nature as he knows and lives it on earth, and the bare essence of human nature destined for an eternal life not on this earth. I think when she talks about earth and earthly, she doesn't necessarily mean this planet. She's more referring to having a sense of time and space. And the bare essence of human nature destined for an eternal life not on this earth. There is nothing eternal about this world or man's life in it. It is because only God knows the true essence of man that man cannot imagine his destiny of eternal life in and with God. So the difference is between man's short earthly existence and his eternal existence in God. Man's mistake is to premise his understanding of eternal life on what he knows of his present earthly life. He cannot conceive how his eternal life in God is nothing like his present life. As the Father said, man was created to be more than he is now on this earth, that is. We are not going to spend time going over all the myths man has created about eternal life, premised on his present understanding of man on earth. Even the best theologians are reluctant to admit any radical existential change in human nature, much less an ontological change. Instead, they assure us everyone will go on just the same, only better, of course. After all, nobody would want to alarm the simple folk or imply they will have to lose anything, much less everything. Other than being perfected, whatever that means, their present life will go right on. This, of course, is pure myth and wishful thinking. Heaven and earth are two radically different dimensions of existence, one in this world, the other solely in God. For man to be able to partake or participate in God's dimension of existence requires such a radical change in his human nature that everything he knew and experienced on earth is wiped out completely and forever. To, quote, gain eternal life, end quote, is the loss of everything man ever knew about himself and life on this earth, even perhaps everything he knew about God. Here's a note I haven't read in years. My question: might what we are be all that remains to be revealed after who we are has been removed? Another question: why might the loss of everything man knows about God be to, quote, gain eternal life? Questions for you to ponder. Next chapter coming right up.